the framed 4 patch. It's 12 inches finished. Here's the block and here's the diagram. Here are the patches. Patch A is cut 3.5 inches square. These are the rotary cutting instructions here. It's cut 3.5 inches square for a 3-inch finished square. And we need 2 of these 3 fabrics. If you have an AccuQuilt and the 6-inch cube, you can use shape 1 for this. For patch B, you cut 3 7/8 inch squares. Cut each square in half diagonally once, and you'll have 2 patches. You'll need 8 patches for the background and for the light color. Because you need 8 patches, you'll need to cut 4 of these squares and cut each one in half diagonally. That will give you the 8 patches. And finally, patch C is a 1.5 inch finished square, so we'll cut 2-inch squares. For the background, you need 4 patches, and for the dark fabric, you'll need 4 patches. And there are AccuQuilt dies for both of these as well. To piece this, we're first going to piece the half square triangles, then we'll piece the 4-patch unit, and then we'll put the block together. There is an alternative if you're going to make these. There are 8 half square triangles. You could make 8 at a time if you want, and it tells you to cut the squares at 7 3/4 inches. And if you don't know how to use this method, look in the description below the video, and I'll put a link to a tutorial on this. Here's what the quilt looks like with 4 blocks and a sashing. Here are the fabrics I've chosen. This is the background in white, and then 2 floral fabrics. These are for the large squares. Then here are the half square triangles, and here are the 4-patch units. Now I'm going to sew together the half square triangles and the 4-patch units. Okay, we have our 2 4 patches and our 8 half square triangles are put together. Now we're just going to follow the diagram and put it together. I'm going to start with the 4 patches, and you want to be careful of the direction of the diamonds, or the squares actually. Now these are going to go here to complete the 4-patch. So this is actually a double 4-patch because it's a 4-patch with 2 4 patches in it. And now these will go here like this, and then like this. Fill in these half square triangles. And then our 2 corner squares. One thing I wanted to show you to get you thinking about blocks and how they're designed, and oh, look at this is wrong. Okay, so let's move this. Okay, now that you're not distracted, I wanted to tell you about a little bit about how blocks are designed and how you can determine if you look at a block, you want to be able to reproduce that block. How did they do that? If you'll notice this block, you have rows, and you have 4 in each row. So it's a 4 by 4 grid. That means there are 16 pieces in this block. 4 times 4 is 16. And all of these are 3-inch finished. So if you have 3 times 4, that means this is a 12-inch finished block, because you have 4 across and 4 down. And then you just simply break apart the block. You can look at it and say, okay, these are squares, and oh, this is a square too. So you have squares going across the diagonal and squares in this corner. Then you can look at this and say, this is a 4-patch, this is a 4-patch, and these are half square triangles. And this is a simple block with 3 different units. You have your square, your half square triangle, and your 4-patch unit. That's all it is. So when you're starting to look at quilts or pictures of blocks, and you want to try to decipher how they're put together, first look for your grid. See if you can find a grid, and then start seeing if you can pull out half square triangles and square and 4 patches. And then you're on your way to designing your own, or at least just figuring out how to reproduce a block that you see. So now I'm going to sew this together. Sew the rows, and then I'll sew the rows together. Thanks for watching.